Well, hello and welcome to Essential Tips for Successful Client Negotiation with me, Alan Clark. But you knew that anyway, it's on the slide over there. I just want to mention something before we start, before we go any further. Everything you need to know about negotiation cannot be summed up in a 10-minute video or maybe 10 minutes with a couple more on the end. But you may at least be able to gain a few tips or even refresh on some techniques that perhaps have been lost in the dark recesses of 2020. Second of all, yes, you listening and watching out there, you are all brilliant negotiators. You have been pretty much negotiating from the moment that you could speak. It's an inherent ability that you have within you. So there you go. Lesson over. Good luck out there. No kidding. So look, you've been negotiating. You were negotiating with your parents, with your siblings, with your friends, with your family, with obviously varying degrees of success. So not only have you tasted failure where you didn't get what you wanted from the negotiation, but you've also had that sweet feeling of victory when, yes, you got what you wanted from the negotiation. Now, just in case you're wondering, I'm talking about statements like this. So if I tidy my room, can Sam stay over at the weekend? Or if I eat my vegetables, can I watch TV until 8 o'clock? That's a sign of the times. Guess what? You've been using the pre-close negotiation skill right off the bat, ever since you could talk. But, and it is a big but, the outcome of a successful negotiation should ideally be a win-win, where both parties win in the negotiation. Other outcomes could be a win-lose or a lose-lose. They are outcomes, but they're not necessarily going to be the ideal. So that's something I want you to consider with your negotiation, your outcomes. Let's look at three things. What is your ideal outcome? What is your realistic outcome? And what is your lowest possible outcome? In other words, your pretty much walk away point. Now, in order to come up with these, you do need to know what your powers of negotiation are. I've worked with some clients where they say to their consultants, look, if the client says 18%, 16%, refer them to me or just walk away. And in terms of the power to negotiate, you obviously need to have the power to negotiate, but you also need to be speaking with the person, the decision maker within the organization that does have the authority to agree to your terms and to be able to negotiate with you. If you're negotiating with a third party and they have to refer it, it not only elongates the process, you lose control, it just makes the whole thing a lot more complicated. And something else you need to know your parameters. You need to know what your parameters of negotiation are so that you can deal with the inevitable, well, if I do this for you, what will you do for me? So let's consider why it is that clients want to negotiate with you in the first place. Look, they genuinely might have specific budgets. They only have a certain amount of money set aside, or they're just playing with you. They're toying with you. They think this is the point that they can just sort of manipulate the recruiter and think, oh, you're commission based. You'll do anything for the money. Maybe they've seen something cheaper or better elsewhere, or, and this is crucial, they don't value you or what it is that you do. They don't value the service that you offer. Now, at this point, and often on training courses, people think our trainers don't live in the real world because we might say things like, don't negotiate, stick to your guns. You might even have managers that think like that. The chances are, though, that you will negotiate. Why? Because at some point, you want a deal. You want to make some money. You've got to be commercial. Not only that, but you're looking beyond this one deal. You're looking at the potential future relationship where you might get repeat or regular or volume business, cross-selling opportunities. And also during the training courses, I use different analogies to explain situations, to explain techniques. And I often use either cars or houses. So let's use a car as an example. So there's a car up for sale for £45,000. Now you, the potential buyer, walk into the showroom and you're met by me, the car salesperson, and you offer me £30,000 for it. And straight away, I offer my hand for the deal shake. Now at this point, I'd like to think that you're thinking, hold on a minute, it's just gone from 45,000 down to 30,000 without even taking a breath. And you would be right to be thinking, in fact, you should be thinking any one or all three of these things. You might be thinking, hold on a minute, what's wrong with it? What's missing? Or it was overpriced in the first place. Now, believe me, there are some recruiters that use this as a tactic. They charge 25%, but because they're not very good at negotiation, they go in at 30%. They say, well, if I up it to 30%, I can then negotiate down. But the chances are you might be overpricing yourself to what others are doing in the marketplace. And the third one is, you as the person that has just made the offer, you might be thinking, actually, that was a bit too easy. I could have gone lower. And all three of these are really powerful demotivators. And I, for one, would not be buying the car. So what would you do if someone gave you a cheeky offer like that? Walk away? Show them something that they can afford for that 30,000, or start to negotiate? I, for one, would be walking them to another part of the showroom or taking them out back to show them what they can get for their 30 grand. Now, again, some of you might be thinking, Alan, that's cars. It's not the same in recruitment. Okay, check this out. Client says, how much do you charge? Recruiter, 25% of the first year's salary. I'll give you 15. Okay. No, that's not negotiating. I'm not going to tell you what that is. It's discounting. Not only that, but the client is now thinking the same three things. They're thinking, hold on a minute. I just said 15%. They said 25%, and they've agreed to 15% straight away. Hold on a minute. What sort of service am I going to get? What's missing? What's wrong with it? Or that it was never worth it in the first place. It was overpriced. I could have gone lower. And the chances are they're going to walk away. And there is, of course, the other example where the client says, before you even get your terms out, they just say, we only work with agencies at 10%. Take it or leave it. Clients will use tactics like this in negotiation. Do not succumb to these bully boy tactics. So let's go back to the car. If I were the car salesperson, I would do probably what you're thinking right now. I'd be asking the potential buyer lots and lots of questions. What do they want in a car? What is it they don't like and what is it they do like about their current car? What is their budget? What are they expecting? What colour do they want? Size engine? There's loads of things you need to ask. But I also need to know my own product. If I'm that car salesperson, I need to know that car inside out and back to front. I need to know everything about it and what it comes with, because that is what I'm going to use to build value. That's what I'm going to use to justify the price tag on the screen. So we need to start building value and not discounting. Discounting is not a good place to be. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of clients that are going to focus on the price because they don't value what you do, because they think you're just job fillers. They think you're CV shufflers. This is a great opportunity for you to ask them about their current levels of service. Ask them what it is that they would expect from a value proposition, and then start to explain to them. And by the way, this is not going to be a feature dump. This is going to be you explaining to them with some value statements what it is that you can actually do for them. Something that will take the pain away, alleviate any stresses that they're under right now. When it comes to building these value statements in negotiation, use some of these key words. I'll put them up on the slide anyway. Improve, develop, help, reduce, introduce, organize, implement, streamline, increase, decrease, enhance, remove, extend, grow, and expand. So that's my thesaurus exhausted. I'm sure you've got others that you can use. Let me put those into context for some value add statements. When the client says, yeah, but what do I get for my money? Well, we can reduce your time to hire. Okay. We can improve the quality of people you interview. Okay. We can introduce you to the passive marketplace. Interesting. We can streamline your current recruitment process. Boy, it needs it. And we can remove the duplication, etc., etc. Oh, by the way, don't split the difference or meet in the middle. That is not usually negotiating. That is simply discounting. I'll give you an example. We charge 25%. We work with agencies at 15. Okay, I'll meet you in the middle at 20. Effectively, you've just dropped your fee by 5%. In fact, it's more than that in real terms. So look, clients in a negotiation are fairly concise with what it is that they want in terms of their demands. And their list is not an exhaustive list. And in fact, the list I'm about to show you is pretty much in the order that they would actually want to negotiate. So First of all, they want to reduce your fees or your rates or your margins. They want longer payment terms, or they want a longer rebate period if you're doing perm. They want you to sign their terms sometimes. They want guaranteed project dates. They want guaranteed deliverables. They want only one point of contact. They don't want loads of people in the office calling them. They might want you to meet with the candidates, to reference check the candidates, and they might want some sort of hands-off agreement where you don't go taking people from their company. Now, if we ask questions to fully understand what their negotiation demands are, in other words, what is it that you want, we can come back with some counter demands. And the beautiful thing about this in negotiation is that your list is a whole lot bigger. Now, you're not going to ask for all of these, but use this, if you like, as your pick and mix counter. Use this as your shopping list. So let's whiz through them. Obviously, you want to start off with full or high fees. You want shorter payment terms. You want zero or reduced rebate period. You obviously want your terms signed. You want guaranteed interview slots, multiple contact points within the organization. You want to meet with a client. You want introductions to other decision makers. You definitely want fully qualified jobs. You don't want to be wasting your time. You want repeat, regular, volume business. You want the client to be flexible. You want them to be realistic as well. You want them to be honest and transparent. You want quick as well as detailed feedback on your candidates post interview and also post sending over CVs and profiles. You want direct access to the decision makers. You want to be speaking to the main person. Ideally, if you're doing perm, you want to be retained. You might want exclusivity, or you might want to ask for PSL status. You might want them to see your candidates first in case they are working on a contingency basis with lots of others. You want cross-selling opportunities, and of course you want open communication. So there's lots of things that you can take from this. And I want to leave you with a couple of final techniques. There's something called offer vague, ask specific. It's one of those things that does exactly what it says on the tin. This is when a client asks you to maybe reduce your fees and you say, well, look, I may be able to look at our fee structure, but what specifically would you be willing to give me in return? Now, I haven't committed to anything. All I've said is I may be able to look at my fee structure. And now I'm saying, but what would you give me in return? And if they can't think of anything, you might want to suggest, look, I may be able to look at our fee structure, but would you be willing to give me exclusivity on your next 5 roles with direct access to the decision makers and guaranteed interview slots? Now, obviously, you pick and choose the ones that work best in your marketplace. There's a bit of a warning with the next one. Some of you might have used the phrase, oh, I can't negotiate on that. I need to check it out with my manager. Now, nothing against managers, but it's just that title. It doesn't seem to carry as much weight anymore. So this is where you can use the higher authority. Clients will sometimes use higher authority. They will say, oh, I can't negotiate on that. I need to go and speak to my boss. But what can I tell him would be your best price? This is a tactic. That sounds like good cop, bad cop. Again, don't succumb to that. So use the offer vague, ask specific, but also use someone in higher authority within your organization. So I may be able to look at my fee structure, but I will need to seek approval from my finance or managing director, and they will need a commercial reason as to why I'm doing that. So what can I tell him or her that you would be willing to give me in return? So it follows the same process. I may be able to look at my fee structure, but I will need to seek approval from my MD, and she will need a reason a commercial reason as to why I'm doing this. So can I tell her that you'd be willing to give us your next 5 roles on an exclusive basis, all the perm ones retained, and direct access to the decision makers with fully qualified job roles? Sounds ideal, but I think you need to have a play with this. So let me leave you with the final slide and your workouts. First of all, develop some ideal, some realistic, and what your lowest possible outcomes are for your particular marketplace, for your desk, for your business. Always check that the other party does have the power to negotiate. Understand you, your products, your company, your service. Understand what it is that you have to build value to justify the price, the fee, the rate that you're looking to charge. And maybe you can put together some value add statements that you could use. Put together some scenarios whereby you would negotiate if the client were to ask for this. What would you be looking for in return? And use the offer vague, ask specific. Use the higher authority one. So good luck out there. Remember, good negotiators will be remembered for not dropping their trousers, sorry for that analogy, but not discounting, but being good negotiators, sticking to their guns and getting something back. That's it. That has been this program by me. See you soon.